Well, let's get this party started. What's going on, guys? I got James Tatum, Matt Bergeron, and Glenn Pendlay with me. Got the weightlifting scoop here.
The weightlifting scoop. I think I'm going to start my career as a movie introducer.
You'd probably do well.
Mediocre. So Matt wants to brag a little bit because he beat James on something, which I don't know if that's ever happened before. So.
Power clean plus push press.
Yep, it was the highlight of my month right now so far.
Month.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it was a power clean to 2 push presses, and I thought it was from the front, but apparently we could have done it anyway. But James got 128.
I mean, realistically, you can't do the first one from behind the neck if you power cleaned it.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone did it from the front.
Yeah.
Did any of those slackers do it from behind? Anybody know?
No, I don't think
Didn't
so.
Trevor go from behind?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know that he missed 132, which would have beat Matt. Well, still, Matt beat me by 2 kilos.
Yep, got 130.
Yeah. 128 was
Tough guy.
A PR push press for me, too. And I haven't push pressed in a long time. And so on my second rep, it got stuck about halfway up, and I felt like it stayed there for about 30 seconds. And then it slowly went up. And I actually made it. It probably only stopped for like half a second, but it felt like forever. So that was pretty much a max attempt for me.
You don't really do any vertical pressing all that much, do you?
Nope, not too much vertical pressing. Just jerks and bench press and tricep extensions.
You just named like 6 exercises.
Right?
I don't do any pressing. I just do pressing, bench pressing, tricep extensions.
Well, no vertical pressing.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kidding. I was halfway paying attention, and I heard a lot of exercises spewing out right there.
Yeah. Well, either way, Matt beat me.
He's taking up bodybuilding.
Tom did it too.
John's here.
Hey!
Oh, look who we got walking in.
Hey.
That's what happens when you're the production manager.
You can sit in the the couch over there with William.
All right, so basically what just happened is we had a new teammate walk in. So we got a new 56 kilo teammate.
Jonathan Garcia.
Yep, and he's pretty good. So he's going to get his first training session in today. So we're excited about that.
We're very excited, actually.
Oh man, it's going to be
He's
so much
taken
fun.
long enough getting here, but he's finally here, so all's forgiven.
Anyways, back on topic. What were we going to get to next?
I don't know.
Oh,
We're
well,
talking about Matt's bodybuilding. Or James's bodybuilding.
Yeah, and I was going to pick on Tom because it was a power clean plus 2 push presses. And,
I cleaned the shit out of that 140.
So Tom has a very hard time power cleaning. So his limit on this exercise was his power clean.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
I missed it twice.
He was doing 140, and his push presses were easy at 140. But he had the hardest time power cleaning it. But
Well, I'm rather unconvinced that he actually power cleaned it. For
Borderline.
He powerfully cleaned it.
yeah,
powerfully cleaned it, not power cleaned it.
But it's better to have the problem of not being able to power clean a lot than not being able to full clean a lot.
Yeah, that is true. And Tom can full clean plenty.
Yeah. He full cleans over 200, so it's not like he's bad at full clean, obviously. So
yeah, that's okay.
It's not in James's territory, but it's okay.
Yeah,
James power clean is like 160. Mine's like 167.
yeah. So what Tom just said is his best power clean is 167, and note that that's still more than mine. So I can't talk that much crap. Mine's only 160, but he can full clean 202. Is that right? 202?
Yes.
Yes, he says.
Should be 205, but
Well, I mean, it should.
unfortunately, it's only 202.
well, we just so this weekend there was the hassle-free meet, which was the one of the qualifiers for Pan Ams, and there was a lot of good lifting going on.
But not any too good lifting by Mike Zella, who bombed out at the meet. Unfortunately, we were all rooting for him, but he missed 3 snatches and bombed. He clean and jerked fairly well.
Yeah, the meet meet PR clean and jerk. Is that right?
Yeah, 156 meet PR and a clean and jerk, but unfortunately that doesn't count unless you make your snatches. So a big 0 for Mike because he didn't make his snatches, and back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, he had to open really high, so that was the highest he'd ever opened at a meet. And when you're going for making for a team, shit's going to happen. It's either going to be a great meet or, you might bomb out. It is what it is, but Mike's coming back tonight, so we'll all get back to training hard and get ready for nationals and seeing, what we can do there. And then hopefully some of us will make the Pan Am team. James and Morgan are for sure on there. I'm kind of borderline right now. I guess, so John McGovern, man, he had a hell of a performance. He did a 338 total, 12 kilo PR, which really surprised me. So he bumped me down one spot. And, there's one more qualifier, which me and Glenn have decided it's best that I don't continue to travel and compete all the time and just really train and get a good training cycle for nationals if for some reason I do get bumped off. So, playing the waiting game right now. But.
Yeah, Travis is, historically he does not compete as often as some of the other lifters on our team. And I think that he does best that way without competing super often and having, longer training cycles and things like that. So it is tough not to go to a qualifier because you're always wondering what you could have done. But I think mentally it's important for him to have these couple of months off to rest up, have a good long training cycle, and come back strong for the nationals.
Yeah, let fate take its course. So, I guess highlights of the weekend, obviously John McGovern having that 6-for-6 performance, 338 total, 145, 193 is a very good clean jerk. And D'Angelo Osario had a PR total. So he did 356. He had a 160 snatch and a 196 clean jerk, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's a good total.
And he cleaned 202 pretty freaking easy. Missed the jerk. So those guys at the OTC, they did great. Jenny Arthur clean jerked 134. My God.
Wow.
That's she almost cleaned 300 pounds, 137. So there was definitely some big lifts going on, and I almost wish that we had gotten to compete with those guys this weekend. That would have been a lot of fun. Just everybody competing together. So hopefully, the next qualifier, I guess nationals will be that for the World Championships, and everybody will hopefully actually go there and compete against each other because, these are huge lifts.
Yeah, that'll be a fun meet.
What'd also be a fun meet is the Muscle Driver Spring Open.
Yeah, we finally set a date.
May 3rd.
May 3rd, yeah. We've kind of stalled on setting a date, and it's dropped back a couple of weeks because of that. But we have set a date. It's May 3rd. So mark your calendar. If you can still get out here for that, plan on it because it's going to be a good meet. It's going to be a qualifier for our team. And it's also going to be a fun meet, just a very fun meet.
So by qualifier for the team, he means an opportunity for people to come and try out for the team.
Yeah.
Because we are actively recruiting again, obviously. And also, is there an entry fee for this meet?
I don't believe so. There will be on the internet that we'll put out on Muscle Driver details as far as entry fee and things like that. But I don't believe we'll have an entry fee because we haven't in the past had entry fees. So unless something changes, there will be no entry fee.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully it's an open meet. You guys can come and watch if you're local. You can come out and compete if you want to try out for the team. But even if you don't think you have a chance of making the team or you don't even want to be on the team, come out. It's a great way to get a total, a great atmosphere. I don't think we'll necessarily all of the lifters will be lifting, but we're thinking about doing like a little demo of some sort, and should be a lot of fun.
We want to do something that's related to snatch and clean and jerk, but not actually snatch and clean and jerk. So a couple of the ideas we've had is like max amount of repetitions on the snatch with like 90% or something like that. So I think we're going to get our heads together and finalize that and end up having a kind of fun little contest of some sort that takes place in between the snatch and clean and jerk. So a chance for, some people to put up some big lifts that aren't actual competition snatch and clean and jerk. And I think that'll be fun.
What's that big CrossFit workout? It's like 30 snatches or 20 snatches in.
Isabel is 30 snatches at 60 kilos, or like 135 pounds.
So could do the.
That's not good at all.
Could do the,
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you for the input.
could do the. See if anybody can beat Klokov and Fronings.
Yeah. I talked about doing 100 kilos. Realistically, I think I'd make 10 reps faster than them, but I guess they're pacing themselves. And then I would be dead tired.
Just gotta grip and rip it. Just go.
30 kilos at 100. 30 snatches at 100 kilos. I mean that is not fun.
That would be devastating.
Yeah, that's terrible. And at 6 minutes, that's fast. I'm not even gonna lie. I've tried to do stuff like that before. And
do you remember when Spencer did
Yes.
that in like 12 minutes or something? 30 clean and jerks with 300 pounds? 14?
14 minutes.
14 clean and jerks with 300 pounds in
it's
14 minutes.
30 clean jerks with 300 pounds in 14 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Okay.
it was pretty good. He's good at push presses, so he's able to push press most of them, which save a little bit of energy, a little bit of wind, anyways. And yeah, it was pretty cool. That would be a little more reasonable than I think the 100 kilos for 30 in 6 minutes. I think that's pretty fast, but
Who did that? Froning?
No.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
yeah, Froning and Klokov. So Froning did like 6:15, and then Klokov did like 5:47 or something along those lines.
Wow.
Not impressed.
All right, man.
I'm impressed. I'll be impressed for both of us because that's flying.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody just messaged me.
he also did a clean plus push press with 145. Klokov did in a kilt. I saw that recently and kind of, I think Tom started that trend.
It wasn't even a push press; it was a strict press.
Oh, it's strict press, yeah.
But I want to see Tom lift in a kilt too, just for kicks. So he said he's going to do it. He just told everyone on air live.
He nodded. He
He's
nodded.
going to do that.
Are you going to bring your kilt to the April or May tryout?
Maybe.
Oh boy.
Well,
Is that a
I got
promise?
two of them.
one,
You got two
I
kilts?
have two. Well, I was competing in the Highland Games. I got two of them. I got a red one and a blue one.
so
So-
Tom says he has a red kilt and a blue kilt.
So you
from
can keep
competing
one of
in
your
the Highland
skirts
Games.
clean at all times, all right?
Absolutely.
Wear one for the snatch and the other for the clean and jerk.
So we actually just got a couple live tweets here.
Got your back, Jack.
And we have, is it possible to max out your squat every day as a clean athlete? And yeah, sure, it's possible to max out your squat every day. It works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. It's possible for anyone to max out their squat every day. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make more progress than
Yeah,
if you
I think
if
it
you
works
squatted 3
better
times a
if
week.
you concentrate on front squat. But yeah, you may make. We've had people do that, or I've seen people do that. We've had people here in the gym and on the team do it and make pretty good progress. We've also had other people try it and crash and burn and not make good progress at all.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the athlete, and the best thing to do is give it a shot, and after a week or two, be ready to call it quits if you need to.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
like, we talked about this on the last episode, so I don't want to go too far in depth with it, but a good squat program is a squat program where you're making progress. So try it out. If you're not making progress, don't be too stubborn to change. And yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. Anybody can max out their squat every day, but, is that yielding more progress or the same progress as you could with another program? Not necessarily. I think it's best to, work smart. If there's a program where you were squatting 1 time a week and you can make the same progress as maxing out every day, why wouldn't you squat 1 time a week,
Good point. Good point. You always want to do the least amount of training that yields the maximum progress. And, sometimes squatting less makes more progress. And if so, there's no reason not to squat less. But sometimes you have to squat more in order to progress.
And we also had a couple more questions. One is, can you get Caleb Whitby on the show? And
That's going to be difficult.
for one, His name does start with a K, so that was an innocent mistake. But Caleb is vicious about that. He does not like it when people start his name with a C. Yeah, his name is Caleb with a K. But I would love to have Caleb on the show, but you know, he's very busy outside, and I'll ask him, but he hasn't shown too much interest in the past, so we'll try to get him on, but I can't make any promises.
Caleb Whitby has Facebook now.
He does have Facebook, man. This guy's into social media now. He's changing.
He's got a cell phone. That was the first.
Yeah, he got a smartphone.
Oh,
Yeah.
not even just a cell phone. He's got a smartphone.
Now him and you both have smartphones.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just getting crazy.
Shit's getting
These
wild.
guys are the traditional, like, you know, hardcore. I have a flip phone. Not really flip phones, but brick phones that just were like from 10 years ago. So, I mean, yeah, I would love to have Caleb on the show, and I think maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to make that happen.
Everybody's got to load up his, go onto Caleb Whitby's Facebook and say, hey, get on Weightlifting Scoop.
Yeah, so check Caleb out. Speaking of, check Caleb out on Facebook with a K, Caleb with a K, Whitby. And he does have a Facebook now, and he has his weightlifting picture as his profile pic, so he's easy to figure out which one he is. Well, we do have a couple more questions, but we'll answer them at the end of the show.
So, I got one thing. I guess Caleb, he spells it how it sounds phonetically.
Yeah.
And then there's other names, I guess it's like Sean. That whole S-E-A-N. Is that how Sean Rigsby spells his name?
Yeah.
Well,
Correct.
Caleb sounds good with K, I think. I think that's the way it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Thanks, Teddy Roosevelt.
James starts a story and you have high expectations. Like,
Well,
you're like, this is going to be a badass thought. And then it's just total letdown.
Well,
Like,
I think it's
And that was one of those times.
You
Total letdown.
You totally blue-balled us. Like, we thought,
Yeah.
we thought that was going somewhere, but
Yeah, I think it's just because my voice. Everybody expects me to tell a story all the time. And I think that's just how I talk. In
Yeah.
storytelling mode. I don't know. That's maybe why I should become a commentator on movies.
well, we need the, what do they call it, the projector over here with lines for James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teleprompter to keep him on track.
Yeah, I'll do the, who's that, the Fox News guy that messed up his...
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly, man. If you guys gotta watch that.
I'll do it live.
Damn it, I'll do it live!
Yeah.
Nothing on.
Yeah, he was raging. I don't know what his deal was, but yeah, I bet all those guys are complete dicks off air. If you think about it, they're
Yeah.
divas. So.
I mean, all of us are, so it only makes sense that they would be too.
Speak for yourself.
Telecommunications, no joke. They're vicious business.
So Tom wanted us to talk about this juicy CrossFit HQ thing going on, because he's the acting producer for this show, or this particular episode at least. He wanted us to talk about, I guess, CrossFit HQ. I don't know all the details, so I'm going to go off what I know, and then Tom can correct me. Basically, there was someone who was born a man, and they had surgery to change their gender. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes.
And they want to compete at the CrossFit Games as a woman, so they have completed the surgery to change from a man to a woman. And they've gone through hormone replacement therapy to change their hormones to closer to what a woman would be, or to what the normal average woman would be. And now
And
they
is legally recognized as a woman.
legally is recognized as a woman. Now, Glenn, you probably know more about this. Now, there are rules about this in weightlifting. Like, the IOC has rules about this for weightlifting and other sports, you know, under the umbrella of the IOC, where they are allowed to compete after a 3-year period. Is that right?
I think so. I think there's some girl, man, girl, whatever they are, they used to be a man, now a female, in South Africa that actually was in court over that not too long ago. And to tell you the truth, I don't have any real insight on what the current rules are. I think that's a thing that has more to do with society than anything else, but they're definitely moving towards allowing such transgender or whatever you call it to compete. I think that is the coming thing, and they will be allowed to, if they're not already, they will be allowed to anytime. I mean, we're definitely moving towards that as a society.
Well, I know. I mean, I don't know if this stuff is true, but I did always hear in weightlifting specifically, like, males would change their gender to female, and they waited the 3 years, and they would compete at the Olympics and do well. I mean, this was a long time ago, and I heard some Asian countries did this. Like I said, that could be rumors, but I have heard of this for a long time since I've been in weightlifting, like definitely since the beginning of my weightlifting career. I would always hear stuff about this. So I know in weightlifting and the IOC, there are rules, and it's always been possible to wait a certain, I don't know what you call that period, grace period, and then you're allowed to compete again, even if it's known that you were a man before and you had surgery to change your gender. So I guess CrossFit has made the move where they're kind of going against what the IOC says, and they're saying that she can't compete as a woman. So is that right, Matt?
Yeah, they're stating that by their definition for competition in the CrossFit Games, it's based on what gender you were born with. So if you're born a man, you have to compete in the men's setting. And from reading of all this stuff, because now it's it was just on, basic forums and stuff, but now it's blowing up to things like CNN and MSNBC broadcasts and stuff. It looks like the issue isn't she's not suing CrossFit over the issue of I'm not letting me compete as a woman. There's something about outing her personally, like essentially telling the world about her transition from a man to a woman, which is the issue.
Yeah. So I mean that makes more sense legally. Now, so I guess Don posted about this on Facebook, and one thing that he said that was interesting is that like some people were like outraged. I mean, people are raging about this, which is, I mean, it is a controversial topic, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty cut and dry, but some people are super raging about it. So some guy was posting like, that's ridiculous. She's legally a woman. She should be allowed to compete, and they shouldn't have outed her, and this and that. And then Don's response was that it's a privilege to compete at the CrossFit Games. It's not a right. So we're not talking about rights here. So according to our rights, she should have all the rights as a woman, right? But competing at the CrossFit Games is not a right. It's a privilege, and that made a lot of sense to me, because it's not your right to compete at the CrossFit Games. People are excluded from things all the time, whether they like it or not, and I mean, what do you guys think about that thought, or what are your thoughts? Should she be allowed to compete? Should she not?
I think, and I'm probably going to, go against the grain here, but I think that what you were born as, man or woman, should be what you are allowed to compete as. And I don't think a male should be able to compete as a female just because they had a sex change, and also the other way around. I mean, the goal of competition is to have as fair a competition as you can between different people. And I think that there is undoubtedly some advantage for somebody who is born a man, who even if they've undergone a sex change operation, or even if they have taken female hormones, I still feel that there's too much room for that person to have an advantage over actual natural born women, to make it fair. And, for what it's worth, I think that's the issue. It's fairness is the issue, and having everybody compete on a level playing field. I don't think such a person like that is on a level playing field with men or natural born females.
Should there be their own division?
I don't think there's enough of them to make their own division. I mean, if we had hundreds and hundreds of people in that division, but I don't think there are ever going to be. It's always going to be a very exclusive thing that applies to only a small number of people.
I had just a real quick thing, and I'll leave you guys alone. One of my buddies who's a pro strongman posted about this, and he said something I think makes a lot of sense, is tester. When they do these drug tests and everything like that, they have specific hormone levels that they look for that make, that you either, get popped or you don't for both men and women. Test her. If she, meets the hormone level standards or whatever, then let her compete. If she doesn't, there's your legal way. You say you don't pass our test, so there's no reason to let you compete. That way it's, it's clear cut and dry, and it's not like, it doesn't turn into a moral debate or anything like that. It just turns into a matter of fact that she can't pass a drug test.
Well, I hear you, and I pretty much, I somewhat agree with that, but I'll go back to what I said just a minute ago, is that I don't believe that allowing somebody that was born a male, I don't believe that is without advantage to allow her to compete as a female. So I think that there is going to be some innate advantage that person has over women that were actually born females, and that makes it not fair. And so I would go back to saying that. I realize it's not necessarily fair or nice or the most wonderful thing to lock them out, but you have to look at all the other people, all the other people that it might not be fair to.
Matt?
It's a real big gray area, because on one hand, all these points are, right. It's what would happen if this individual stopped taking female hormone therapy, because I'm not sure if it's a lifelong thing or if it's a certain period. But what happens if she stopped taking synthetic female hormones? Could she theoretically be like a man again, competing against the women? So I agree with that. And then, on the political standpoint, because there's a lot of politics, the gay, lesbian community, all that stuff. It's still a tricky area, and it's really one of those things where CrossFit has to be real careful with what they're saying, because they released some of the emails about it, and it was just kind of handled poorly. And the other thing is, if you look up her athlete profile on the CrossFit Open list, it has her listed as a female. So if CrossFit says she's a man, then they should probably fix that too. Just for legal standpoints when they go to court.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I don't have too strong of an opinion in either way. I feel like that person, when they signed up for this, was probably expecting these issues, and I guess by bringing these issues up, it is, promoting change in the sport, and really people just have to find out kind of how to work around these. And I'm sure 10 or 15 years down the road, we'll see these issues and be like, oh, this is how they're handled, and they know what to expect.
Yeah. It's tough, because this is the first time they've had to deal with an issue like this, and nobody really knows how to handle it for sure. And so there's no precedent that's been set. And so
people were asked, mentioning about the Olympic athlete, and her name was Caster Semenya, and she was a sprint track and field runner from South Africa. But she's got an even weirder situation where she was born with an XY chromosomes, but physiologically she's a woman. And she had to go through gender testing after, I think it was either 2008 Olympics or 2009 World Championships, and there was a grace period after that. She wasn't allowed to compete in anything, but the IOC did say, okay, you can compete, and she was in London Olympics. So it's a real new situation for sports in general.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, honestly, it's like very difficult for CrossFit to take a stance that goes against the IOC too, because the IOC is kind of
The top dog.
Yeah, the top dog when it comes to sports, and sports like this. If you want CrossFit to be in the Olympics one day, that kind of thing.
But then again,
I don't
CrossFit
know if that's ever going to happen.
But in theory,
Yeah.
But then again, CrossFit is a private business, right? So they can set their own rules and standards.
They can do what they want, and so it's the biggest issue is it's a huge political debate, and so I think people they argue with their emotions instead of their minds sometimes, and that's tough. I think in my opinion, there's definitely some advantage there. Maybe she is not stronger than other women, so they were like, well, she's not even that strong. Why are you keeping her from doing it? It's more about
that shouldn't matter.
The slippery slope that can happen in the future, because there could be someone in the future who does have a big strength advantage compared to most of the other women. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that, but we just wanted to give our thoughts a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it is a hot topic. So a couple more questions before we end here. We got to go training a little bit. So best pre-workout supplement. Anything you guys like to take that gets
Coffee.
you pumped? Coffee.
You don't train.
Nutriforce Pre-Wad.
Hey, I row, Tom.
Glenn drinks coffee so he can watch us lift.
Yeah, basically. It's very stressful, guys. It's very stressful.
So, if you really want to go crazy and hit some PRs, what you got to do is you got to get 2 of your buddies, and you have to put 1 scoop of Vino Explode, 1 scoop of Vino Shotgun, and you got to mix it with Monster and instant coffee.
Oh my God.
You share it with 2 other people. Do not drink that by yourself or you will die, okay? But if you really want to hit some PRs, do that. Don't do it often. It's dangerous. But
Oh, boy. Well, one thing that I want to put in there, too, is also know, do you do well with a lot of stimulants? Some people, if they get too stimulated, then they can't even move right.
yeah.
You get the ants crawling over your feelings.
Yeah, no, that would be too much
Well, those
for
are
me.
not things to do for the first time at a major contest. Those are things to try out in training and figure out how you do. I mean, personally, I have always in the past done my best with basically a little coffee. I like to put something like a little creamer in my coffee or something like that. A little cream, heavy whipping cream or something like that. Something just to cut it and not be so acidic and keep my stomach settled. But simple caffeine, I think, has worked well in the past for me, both when I was lifting and then since then when my lifting career has been over. But just to feel good and feel, ready to go and whatever. But I know a lot of you guys do the, Explode or other supplements, stimulant type supplements. And if it works, great.
Well, I think recently, obviously we're sponsored by Nutriforce, so a lot of us take the pre-wide from Nutriforce, and it works well. And 100% honest, it's not the best tasting product on the market, but it does get you amped up.
Have you ever tasted a good tasting pre-wad before or pre-workout?
Yeah, that's
It'll explode. Tastes
That
good.
actually works, Tom.
that's that's an opinion. I think it tastes pretty good.
Yeah. If you mix it with Gatorade, James has been mixing it with Gatorade, and that works out pretty well.
Yeah, orange
Cheater.
Gatorade and the pre-wad taste pretty good together,
Yeah.
actually.
Also, don't dilute it as much.
Yeah.
Less liquid use, the better it tastes.
Yeah. So, I was just trying to be 100% honest. I don't really take a lot of pre-workouts except for coffee right now. So mostly coffee, sometimes like a 5-hour energy if it's a heavy workout. That's totally personal preference. There's a million products out there. For the most part, just make sure that if you're close to a competition that it doesn't have DMAA in it or geranium oil, because Jack 3D in the past had that in there. And what is it? What else does it go by? Methylhexanamine?
Yeah.
Or something
Yes.
like that. I don't know exactly how you say that, but anyways, that can get you popped, and then it's just, that's something silly to, fail a drug test over. It'll get you in trouble. It doesn't do anything more than caffeine does. So the main thing is just really be careful about what you're taking.
And here's, because for mostly my pre-workout, I do my a protein shake in the morning, and then I have actually pure caffeine powder that I put in the shake. If you do pure caffeine powder, be careful, because that can make you sick if you take too much right off the bat. And it's a lot more potent than caffeine in a supplement or a Monster or something like that, just because it's not as diluted through the process of making it.
So we got 2 more questions actually. So we got a question about complexes, because we put out a video of all us kind of doing complexes. We've been doing them this week to add some volume. So the purpose and when to incorporate them. When to incorporate them, far out from a competition. You're trying to build work capacity. The purpose is to build work capacity and have time under tension. And if you have like multiple jerks or you're doing jerks after a clean and some front squats, it makes the jerk harder. So if the jerk is your weakness, it's a great way to incorporate them. If your overhead is a weakness, doing snatch plus 2 overhead squats is a good way to have the bar overhead and get some time under tension there. Anything else to add to that, guys?
Don't try and go for a max, like near your max lift for that. That's not going to work out well.
I mean, complexes are so general. You can do anything. You know, you can have any variety number of things in a complex.
As long as you stick with the idea that the purpose for it is to have the weight in your hands for an extended period of time. Whatever you're used to, if you're used to having the weight in your hands for 10 seconds, make it 30 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever. Have the weight in your hands for a longer than normal period of time is going to assist you with building muscle.
Because Olympic weightlifting doesn't have much time under tension, so.
No.
James, anything to add to that? Or?
Well, I think you guys pretty much covered all of it. I just worked on your weaknesses. I mean, if you have trouble recovering on the clean because the weight's too heavy, do cleans with multiple front squats. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really almost target any issue. If your pull is your weakness, then you do you come up, do a pause at the knee, and then finish the clean.
Yeah.
And just things like that, just to give you time under tension at your weakest point.
Yeah, so make a complex that makes sense for your weakness. You know,
Yeah.
my weakness and James' weaknesses and Matt's weaknesses are all different. So sometimes we do the same complexes just for fun, but, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we're doing some different stuff to target our weaknesses.
It's a good way to add something different, add something fun, and like the guy said, to hone in on whatever specifically is your weakness.
So if you really want to do a complex, you should obviously do the Cooper complex.
No.
1 clean, 1 front squat, 3 front of the neck jerks, 5 back squats, 2 behind the neck jerks. See what you can do and post the video
That's
to
brutal.
the weightlifting scoop.
Brutal.
So I did this on Friday.
No, you didn't.
And I accidentally only did 1 jerk because I didn't realize it was 3 jerks from the front. But I haven't done any conditioning. So I did 145, and then I was lying on the ground after. I was tired. And then that's where the realization came in that 100 kilo snatches for 30 reps would not work for me.
Yeah, James was talking smack about that workout. I really wanted to see it, though. Maybe we can get him to
We'll give him 3 scoops of pre-wad and see what happens.
I think that would make it worse.
Yeah.
Your heart rate starting elevated is not a good idea. One last question before we get out of here. Drills for teaching you not to jump forward in the snatch. Well,
Put a line on the platform.
Yeah, I was going to say put a piece of tape on the platform and don't jump forward.
Yeah.
Snatches from the hip.
I think the way that we used to stand on a platform that is slightly elevated towards your forefoot so that it basically keeps your balance off of the ball of your foot while you're doing the lift, that also works.
Yeah, with your toes off the platform.
Yeah.
You also have to find out why you're jumping forward.
Yeah. Tom used to jump forward a little bit, and I gave him a cue of making sure his butt stayed behind his heels. Because when your hips travel forward, like your butt comes forward a little early, so, you know, trying to keep the pressure on your hamstrings and pushing your butt behind your heels through the pool. You know, I don't know. Really, really hard to answer that question for your personal issue unless we have a video. So feel free to email us a video at theweightliftingscoop@gmail.com, and we can answer, you know, with a more educated guess.
One last thing for that, the jumping back, something that Glenn told me when I first got here, because I hopped forward on everything, was whenever we did things like...
He told you not to suck. That's all.
Yeah, not to suck. But in addition to that, whenever we did, you know, hang drills or we did pulls or deadlifts and stuff for snatch or clean, when I stood all the way up, before I went back down to get my body set in that position 1, having my weight, you know, my knees bent slightly, my torso upright, and sitting that weight behind my heels. So being real strict about that position 1.
So look at the video. Make sure, look up Glenn Pendlay's progression, position 1, 2, 3. Pause your video when you're at those positions and see how close you are. Are you getting on your toes early? Well, stay on your heels longer. There could be a variety of different things going on, but hopefully we were able to give you some general information. You guys got anything else before we go train?
Ready to go start training.
Ready to go train.
What are you going to snatch today, James?
I have no idea. It's going to be 1 kilo more than you, though.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's it.
110. I'm just kidding. I saw the percentages out there. But anyways, guys, couple last things. Check out our Teespring campaign going on. We really need a surge. We have 6 days left. We need your help. We're sitting at 30 right now, so our goal is 50. And also, continue to send us questions and look for training videos. We will see you guys later on this week.